friends, Kim Skinner here with Cat Scrappiness, and I am here to make a quick last-minute Easter card. I'm using some really fantastic stuff here. I'm using a couple of sheets of that spring fling pattern paper that Cat Scrappiness just released a couple of weeks ago. I have the Happy Easter word and shadow dies, some enamel dots, and I have this fantastic mini slimline leafy frame die. I love this little frame die because it gives you a frame and lots of fabulous decoration. So I am actually going to start by die cutting out my little leafy frame, and I'm actually going to die cut it out of this really sweet minty green color. And there are two different greens in the package, and you could use either one for this. So I'm just using some of the Spellbinder's Best Ever craft tape to hold my frame in place. That helps make sure it doesn't slip when I die cut it. I sent it through my die cutting machine. You can see how great it looks. Now I'm going to die cut out. I'm deciding that I'm not going to use the shadow die for this card. I'm just going to use the word die. And because I have the shadow die, I actually have an option about which I want to do. So I love that. I love getting that shadow die with it because it looks so great behind it. But I don't want to cover up all my polka dots. And since this is a mini slimline card, I decided to not use the shadow die. So I'm just trimming down my background pattern piece here. I love the polka dots. This works for anyone. So I'm just trimming it down so that it is slightly smaller than my framed piece, so it won't show behind my frame. And I decided that I originally was going to make the Happy Easter in that same minty green, but I decided to pull out a piece of the coral pattern paper, and I love this. It's a nice bright coral color, and I really like it. Again, I'm just trimming it down to fit in my die cutting machine, and I'm using another piece of that Spellbinder's Best Craft Tape Ever, sending that through my machine. And while I'm doing that, I'll also cut down my card base. So I'm just grabbing a piece of white cardstock, and I'm going to trim it down to 6 by 7 inches. My finished card, the size of that frame, is 3.5 by 6, so this works beautifully. I don't know what's going on here with my trimmer at the moment, but I'm trimming it down to 6 by 7.5, and I should have left it the other way because I want to score it on the 7-inch side. I'm going to score it at 3.5 inches, and that will give me my finished card of 3.5 by 6 inches. So I'm just going to use my bone folder and give it a nice press, and that always gives you, that's like a really nice detail for a card, is a really nice fold that doesn't have any crinkles or cracks in it. So I am using my little glue tube there to glue down my pattern paper. I always open my card base, and I do a much better job getting everything centered and lined up when I do it that way. Now I like to have some dimension on my card, so I'm pulling out my foam tape, and this is about 1/4 of an inch. I think it's a smidge bigger than 1/4 of an inch actually. So I'm using that on the two long sides of that mini slimline frame. It's a little bit too wide for the shorter ends, so I'll pull out my 1/8 inch strips for the shorter ends there. And I'm just testing it to make sure that it is in fact too big. So now I have that extra little cut piece. I always put that on the edge of I have an edge of my table where I don't walk by, and I will just put the tape, the extra foam tape pieces on the edge of the table so that I can just grab them when I'm working on my projects and they don't go to waste. So I'm adding some of those little 1/8 inch strips there, and now I'll just peel that backing off, and I'll go ahead and put my frame down on top of my card. And I really like this color combination. The beautiful thing about a pattern paper package is that all the papers in the package coordinate, so you can use any combination of patterns in that paper pack and they always work together. I love that. I don't have to think about it. Some paper designer already did that. So I don't have to put too much thought into it. I can just pick a couple pieces that I like out of the stack and go from there. So this pencil bone folder works beautifully for curling up my little leaves. I wanted a little bit more texture and dimension, so I'm just curling each of the leaves that isn't attached to the frame around this bone folder, and you can either curl it up at the very edge, or you can or the very tip, I mean, of the bone folder, or on the center of it. So that works really nice. I love the way that looks too. I feel like it's a special touch that you can't get on a store-bought card. So I'm grabbing my Happy Easter sentiment here, and I'm just going to use my reverse tweezers. They have a nice fine tip on them, and they actually poke things out of my dies really nicely. And that Easter does come in two pieces, so it is supposed to be like that. And that's actually kind of a nice feature because I'm using a small card size, and this is a pretty good size die. So that will allow me to kind of adjust the two ends of that second word of my die when I put it on my card to make it work for the card I'm creating here. Those reverse tweezers to me are a dream. It's one of my favorite tools, and I use it every time I craft because they clamp shut around your sentiment here, or whatever it is you're trying to put in place. And it's just so easy to put things in place when you don't have to hold your tweezers shut. So I think, you squeeze them to pick up the stuff, and then they clamp naturally shut, and you don't have to hold them that way. So they're perfect for sore hands. And again, those are reverse tweezers, and I believe there are a couple different ones in the shop. They're exactly the same, they're just from different companies, so they're different colors. So those, definitely, if you don't have a pair of those, you definitely will want to add a pair of those to your tool stash, because they are perfect if your hands are even a little tiny bit sore. So I'm just really giving that a good press with the glue, because I just put little dots of glue on there. So for my final step, I'm going to add some of the enamel dots. I picked these two packages because I thought the colors coordinated nicely here with the papers, especially the sentiment. And it's nice because they're actually on a clear acetate sheet, and you can hold it up to your project and decide which color you want to use, which size you want to use, and where exactly you want to place it. So I just like to have a little shiny bling on all my projects. So I'm going to put 3 of the larger ones here on my frame in the bottom right hand corner. This is actually a technique I used to use all the time for adding enamel dots or pearls or gems onto my cards. Just putting like 3 together in the upper left hand corner or the lower right hand corner. And that is going to complete my card. Now, if you are not subscribed to the Cat Scrappiness YouTube channel, we would love to have you subscribe and click that bell so you get notifications every time someone uploads a new video. And please make sure you give this video a like and share it with your friends so they can find us too. So thank you so much, friends, for watching today. I hope you have a wonderful day. And